Lewis Hamilton's 2025 season with Ferrari got off to a rocky and confusing start. But everything changed during the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend. While the headlines before the race were focused on his struggles and doubts about his future performance, with the team, the race itself flipped the narrative. Instead of more frustration, fans witnessed a breakthrough. It was a moment that showed not just potential but progress, a real shift in Hamilton's connection with his car and his new team. This wasn't just about a better result. It was about understanding, learning, and maybe even beginning something much bigger than just a P5 finish. The story really begins on Saturday during qualifying. Things didn't look good for Hamilton. He ended up in 9th place, far behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. That 0.6 of a second gap might not seem like much to the average viewer, but in Formula One terms it's massive. There's the kind of difference that usually means there's a deep problem, something fundamentally off between driver and car. And Lewis didn't hold back in admitting it. He was open, maybe even a bit harsh on himself, saying he simply wasn't doing a good enough job. It felt like déjà vu from his last season at Mercedes, frustrated, lost and unsure of where the performance was going to come from. But then came Sunday, and everything changed. Hamilton surged through the field, finishing 5th, and more importantly, he looked completely at ease while doing it. The key moment came during the middle stint of the race. Both Ferrari drivers were called in for a double-stack pit stop, where they received medium tyres. That's when Hamilton came alive. In his own words, he felt aligned with the car. That word, aligned, was more than just a throwaway comment. It told the story of a driver who had finally started to understand how the Ferrari SF25 needed to be driven. This wasn't just a case of getting lucky with tire strategy or finding a bit of extra grip. It was about something deeper. For the first time, Hamilton wasn't fighting the car. He was flowing with it. That's a big deal for a driver who spent nearly 20 years at teams like McLaren and Mercedes. Jumping into a Ferrari isn't just switching logos. It's like learning to drive all over again. The habits he had built over so many seasons had to be adjusted, sometimes even completely erased. He revealed something during the post-race interviews that really caught everyone's attention. For the first time in his career, Hamilton said he was using engine braking. That might sound like a technical detail, but for an F1 driver, it's a complete shift in how you control the car. It changes braking points, how you handle corners, and how the car responds under pressure. That's a massive change to make mid-season, and Hamilton not only tried it, he made it work. On top of that, he talked about adapting to Brembo brakes after using Carbon Industries for his entire career. Again, that's more than just a brand swap. It affects the entire feeling of the car under braking. These aren't small tweaks, they're complete changes in how a driver operates. And Hamilton is doing it, slowly but surely, with patience and determination. There's also the mental shift to consider. Hamilton admitted that after so many years with one team, he had become set in his ways. It's understandable. Working with the same engineers, using the same systems, trusting the same processes, it becomes second nature. But Ferrari is a whole new world. The Bahrain weekend marked a point where he let go of trying to make the car feel like a Mercedes and started to let it be what it is. That acceptance, that willingness to learn from scratch, might be the biggest breakthrough of all. Let's also talk about Charles Leclerc, who has been the more consistent Ferrari driver so far this season. Lewis has admitted that he's been far off Leclerc in terms of pace and setup in the earlier races, but Bahrain showed the first real signs of that gap starting to close. And it wasn't just about lap times, it was about approach. Hamilton said he had been trying all sorts of different setups, almost randomly to see what would stick. But now he's starting to drift closer to Leclerc's baseline setups. That's an important detail. Leclerc has been with Ferrari for 6 seasons now. He knows what works with their cars and what doesn't. So when Hamilton begins to find comfort in setups that Leclerc already trusts, it means he's beginning to understand what makes a Ferrari work. He's not just experimenting anymore. He's starting to know the double-stack pit strategy gave us more than just a new tire compound to talk about. Both drivers on the same tire showed impressive pace. That wasn't just a good sign for Hamilton. It was good for Ferrari as a whole. It meant the car had pace when it was in the right performance window. And maybe more importantly, Hamilton now knows what that window feels like. He's not guessing, he's learning, he's getting better, and he's beginning to feel that connection every top driver needs with their car. We've seen this before with Lewis. He doesn't need the fastest car on the grid. What he needs is a car he can trust. When he gets that trust, everything changes. He becomes sharper, more aggressive, and way more consistent. That's what makes Bahrain so important. It might have been the weekend where Hamilton started to trust the SF25. Sure, Leclerc still has the edge, but it doesn't look like Hamilton is chasing shadows anymore. He's adapting, he's progressing, and that makes things very interesting inside Ferrari's garage. Because when both drivers are competitive, the team as a whole gets stronger. Ferrari isn't just racing McLaren or Red Bull, they're also racing each other internally to bring out the best performances. So why does a fifth-place finish matter so much? It's because of what it represents. This wasn't Hamilton lucking into a better result because of some random strategy. This was Hamilton figuring things out, adjusting his approach, and unlocking real performance. When you combine that with his raw talent, it becomes a dangerous combination for every other team on the grid. The season is still young. McLaren might be looking strong, and Mercedes is going through a rebuild with Kimi Antonelli. Red Bull still has Max Verstappen, but the team dynamic has changed with Sergio Perez gone and Yuki Tsunoda stepping in. That means the door isn't shut for Ferrari, not yet. And with Hamilton getting closer to understanding his car, he could become a real threat in the midfield and even in podium fights. Right now, he's sitting 7th in the championship standings, just 5 points behind. Antonelli. One good weekend could flip that narrative completely. And if Bahrain was the moment when